The waves are getting higher every year. Storms that once came once a decade now arrive every season. Across Asia, cities built by the sea are slowly sinking beneath the water. In Japan, the danger feels close. This island nation has always lived between beauty and disaster, mountains, oceans, earthquakes, and typhoons. The sea gives life here, but it also takes it away. Tokyo, Osaka, and Yokohama, home to millions, stand only a few meters above sea level. If global temperatures keep rising, parts of these cities could disappear underwater within this century. But Japan is not waiting for that day. Scientists, architects, and engineers are asking a daring question. What if our cities didn't need to fight the ocean, but could float on it instead? That idea, once a dream of science fiction, might now be the key to humanity's survival. For centuries, Japan has built its life around the sea. Fishermen built wooden homes along the coast. Farmers carved rice fields that filled with rain and tidewater. Even old Japanese poetry speaks of living with the waves. The people here learned something powerful. You can't control nature, but you can move with it. From ancient canals in Edo to modern seawalls protecting Tokyo Bay, Japan's story has always been one of adaptation. After every flood, they rebuilt. After every storm, they rose again. This quiet resilience became part of the nation's identity, a deep respect for balance between humans and nature. So when scientists began talking about floating cities, it didn't sound impossible to Japan. It sounded familiar, because here, surrounded by water on every side, people have always known. To survive, you must learn to live with the sea, not against it. In Japan, the future often begins quietly, inside design labs and engineering studios where imagination meets precision. Here, companies like Shimizu Corporation and N-ARK are working on something extraordinary: cities that float on the ocean. Shimizu's plan, called Ocean Spiral, looks like something from a sci-fi movie, a massive underwater city that twists deep into the sea, powered by ocean currents. N-ARK's design, Dogen City, imagines a floating ring large enough to hold 40,000 people, complete with schools, hospitals, and parks, all built to rise and fall with the waves. These are not just architectural dreams, they are survival plans, blueprints for the next century. Each project aims to be fully self-sustaining, using solar panels, wave energy, and underwater turbines to power everything. Japan isn't running away from the sea, it's trying to build a home on it. And in a world drowning in rising tides, that idea feels less like fantasy and more like the future itself. Imagine waking up to the sound of gentle waves instead of traffic. Your window opens to the endless blue horizon, and just below your feet, the city moves softly with the sea. In Japan's vision of floating life, every part of the city works with nature, not against it. Electricity comes from sunlight and waves. Fresh food grows in floating gardens and aquaponic farms. Rainwater is collected, cleaned, and reused again and again. Children could play on open decks where the ocean breeze replaces car fumes. Homes would be built to shift with the waves, safe even during storms. And the view, always changing, always alive. This isn't just a new kind of city, it's a new way of thinking that comfort and sustainability can exist side by side. A place where technology protects nature and nature gives back in return. It's peaceful. It's possible. And maybe one day, it will be home. But every dream has a price, and Japan's floating cities are no exception. Building a city that can survive on the open sea costs billions of dollars. The materials must resist salt, waves, and time. The technology is still young, and maintaining it will take a constant flow of money and skill. Then, there's a question few want to ask. Who will get to live there? If these floating worlds become real, will they be open to everyone, or only to the rich who can afford them? A safe home on the ocean could become the ultimate luxury, while millions on land are left behind, still fighting floods and heat waves. Some scientists also warn of another danger: the ocean's fragile balance. Anchoring huge platforms could disturb marine life. Noise, light, and waste might hurt ecosystems already struggling to survive. And there's the moral challenge. Should humanity pour its effort into escaping the rising seas or fixing the planet itself? For many, Japan's floating cities are a symbol of hope. For others, they're a warning, a mirror showing what happens when we adapt too late. Yet one thing is certain: Japan has begun building what others only imagine, and if it works, the rest of the world will follow. At the edge of Japan's coast, scientists test the future in giant tanks filled with roaring artificial waves. Here, miniature models of floating cities are pushed, rocked, and soaked to see if they can survive real typhoons. In laboratories from Tokyo to Yokohama, engineers are creating platforms that can rise with tides, bend with wind, and hold entire communities steady even in storms. They test solar panels that float, wind turbines that twist safely in high pressure, homes built on flexible foundations that shift but never break. These are not simple experiments, they are rehearsals for survival. Japan's research centers are also exploring how these floating structures can grow food, recycle water, and even clean the ocean around them. Every design aims for a single goal: to create a city that can take care of itself. Like a living organism, it's a combination of science and philosophy. Precision engineering meets the quiet Japanese belief in harmony. The idea isn't just to survive nature's power, but to live with it. If Japan succeeds, it won't just save its own islands. It could give the entire planet a new blueprint, a way to rebuild civilization on water when the land becomes too dangerous to live on. And as the waves crash outside those test tanks, the question grows louder: can humans truly master the ocean? Or will the ocean always have the final word? As the sun sets over Tokyo Bay, the skyline begins to shimmer, towers of glass reflecting a sea that has both threatened and protected Japan for centuries. It's a view that feels peaceful, but beneath it lies a quiet warning. For every wall we build, the ocean grows stronger. For every city we expand, nature pushes back. And now, as the tides rise and the land shrinks, Japan stands again at the edge of something extraordinary and terrifying. But this time, instead of fighting the water, it's learning to float. The idea of floating cities once sounded like fantasy, a scene pulled from a futuristic movie, but in Japan, it's becoming real. Engineers are laying the groundwork, scientists are testing the waves, and visionaries are sketching blueprints for a world that can live on water. Yet this story isn't just about Japan, it's about all of us. About humanity itself standing on the shoreline, watching the water creep closer every year. Because if these floating cities succeed, they won't just protect Japan. They could protect life itself, a blueprint for survival in a changing world. Imagine cities that rise and fall with the tides, powered by the wind and sun, recycling their own water and food. Communities that live in balance, not against the ocean, but with it. It's a vision that carries hope. But hope alone is never enough. Even the brightest idea can't save us if the world around it keeps burning. Even the most advanced floating city can't float forever if we don't stop the seas from rising higher. That's the truth, hidden beneath the beauty. Floating cities might buy us time, but they can't fix the problem. Only we can, by changing how we live, what we consume, and how we care for the planet that gave us everything. Still, Japan's courage to dream gives something precious to the world. A reminder that humanity's greatest strength has always been its ability to adapt. From fire to flight, from earth to ocean, every chapter of progress began with fear and ended with invention. The floating city is not just a structure, it's a symbol of our refusal to surrender. A message to the next generation that when the world changes, we can change with it. And maybe that's what makes Japan's vision so powerful. It's not just about escaping disaster, it's about proving that even in the face of it, we can build something beautiful. Someday, the world may look back at Japan's floating cities and see more than architecture. They'll see a moment when humanity looked into the waves and chose to rise. Because in the end, Survival is not about walls or weapons or wealth. It's about imagination, and it's about courage, and it's about believing, even when the tides are high, that we were never meant to sink. So maybe Japan's floating cities aren't just about surviving the storm. Maybe they're about teaching us how to live differently, how to build hope that floats. Because if humanity can learn to rise above the water, maybe we can still rise above our mistakes. If that future moves you, stay with us, subscribe, share, and keep exploring the stories that remind us what's worth saving before the tide comes for us all.